Welcome to Financial Freedom for All, where we help you master your money and live your dream one podcast at a time. So today we'll be talking about hot weather, cool wallet. And we're talking today with Kristine Tanyag. Kristine, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Alan. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's a lovely warm day outside. So
It is.
So
it's going to be fun.
it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And let's kick off and maybe ask you, how does your spending change in the summer compared to normal?
Summer is a very exciting time of the year, of course. The outdoors, the sun, the fun, the sunlight, the light, it's still bright up to 8 o'clock at night. So you could still think of I'm going to go Tesco last minute. That's where everything goes out of the budget because you see all the sales. This is when you actually start the unplanned stuff. You go to Tesco late at night, you see all the sales, and maybe tomorrow I'll start a barbecue. Things like this. And of course, is there such a thing? I'm talking to a chef, but is there such a thing as not a perfect barbecue?
No, I think for me, it's the change in weather. There's a few things that happen. Number one, normally in the summertime, the kids they're not at school anymore.
Yep.
So the habits change there. Suddenly the fridge is empty a lot quicker.
They need to be entertained.
So they need to be entertained and fed properly. So there needs to be a bit of planning behind that.
Yep.
And like you said, going out late at night, doing quick shops can have an effect long term.
Yeah.
So it's best to, what we do is we have a meal planner.
Yep.
So we have a meal
Good
planner to
idea.
know what we're buying and what we're going to be using throughout that week. And yes, there's treats in the fridge, there's the ice creams and the bits and pieces. But the key thing, the change in the weather, for me, it's just to make sure that you're ready for it. Whether it's summer, whether it's winter. Right now in the summer, we have lots of ice lollies in the fridge,
Yes.
etc. But it's all planned for because when you go out and about and you go to the shop, like you just mentioned, these things cost extra, and it's sometimes three times the amount. So, if we looked at the summertime where we are right now, what would you say is your ultimate summer splurge?
Oh, I have at the minute an addiction to gardening.
Okay.
So 3 years ago, we moved into this little cottage in the middle of town. So as you can imagine, there's nothing there to see in that small space. But we have a courtyard, an empty courtyard, with just a shed and the bricks. And so I thought, I really need to... It's a nice space to unwind, but you cannot just look at the bricks. So I started putting in plants. And then I realized, oh no, this is getting really expensive. Plants are very expensive. But then I thought, I need to save money. Well, being brought into Genistar, day in, day out, financial education, you need to save money. You need an emergency fund and all this stuff. And so I started reading through what are perennials, what are biannuals, what are these things, and started investing into the plants that would regrow each year.
Okay.
And 3 years down the line, I have a lovely, lovely little garden at the back, which I would sit every afternoon after financial education, after Zooms, take a breather, bring my cup of tea outside and just sit there for hours and hours. Saves me so much money instead of after the Zoom, go to town, go around, I'll go to H&M and go back with a skirt maybe. So it is, in a way, a good investment for me to start with. First year, a lot of money went to the plants. And Emil keeps looking at the list. Because we have this book at home called Where Did Your Money Go? Yes, I found it must have been TK Maxx. Where did your money go? So you write everything that you spent on during the day. How much was your saving target for the week? Which I usually put how much income of Genistar I want. How much did we save? And what was the splurge? So I can't cheat because Emil would see it all the time. More plants, So things like that. But it is the discipline of being conscious of what you're doing. I think as a nurse, we always say, if you didn't write it, you didn't do it. I can always skip writing, but it makes me feel bad. At the end of the day, it's the goal. Me and Emil had this, say, before 2018, before I found Genistar, we were in the thick of it. Credit cards, overdrafts, and we started writing everything we spent every day. And there's no cheating about it. He'd question me, why did you go to Poundland? You think I needed a drink? But it is being questioned. And yeah, it did cause a lot of arguments before, but, now it's become the discipline. Writing down everything, counting everything, but still.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, like you say, and I like that idea where you've got the book and you write everything down, and then you can review it and go, actually, did we need those things?
Yes.
Should we have done that now? And it's good that you can stumble forward and sometimes make mistakes and go, you know what, let's change that next time, and not make the same mistake twice, right? So for us, we don't really, I wouldn't say we splurge. We plan.
Yeah.
We love going to the Czech Republic in the summer, and the reason for that is that there's so much to do for the kids, and there's so much you can whether it's in the Czech Republic, whether it's in Poland or any other part of Europe, if you plan it properly and you decide what you're going to do. I'll give you a good example where we're going there this summer. The kids are going probably for 4 or 5 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
But already, Andrea's decided, right, well, if we get this trip now to Aqualand, where they go like outside a theme park outside, and the kids can go and spend all day, but when you get it in advance, it's only costing a third of the price. Instead of last minute, then impulsively buying this and let's get this and let's get this, and before you know it, you're out of your budget.
Yes.
So for me, just planning is a key part, and the summer is an important part for the kids to make sure they get outside, get some fresh air, get lots of sunlight, etc. So when it's well planned, it's just less stressful, in my opinion.
I agree.
In my opinion.
And of course, being it's summer, we've been through so many summers. We focus on our kids, don't we? We need to entertain them. We need to give them the best memory of the summer, what we've done. Remember, Daddy? Remember when you took me to the park? It doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, we live in the middle of the town. We have beautiful parks. You can say, that is free. But when the ice cream van comes along, you can't tell your kids, let's go home, we have ice lollies at home. And half the time, that's not as good as the ice lolly from the van, is it? No. But also, as Filipinos, we didn't grow up with much money. It's always doing things at home, creating things. And we have this called ice candy. And it's like an ice lolly in a little long bag, which we make every summertime. And in fact, we sort of like sell it out to our friends to make more money. Yeah. But basically the idea is get whatever fruit is in season, then we puree it, we put a bit of cream on it, lots of sugar in it, condensed milk and everything else. And in this little stick, there's so much joy going around with your friends, just eating from the plastic bag.
Wow.
Literally, I still have that plastic bag. I'll give it some to you.
I'll give
some to you.
I love that. Why do you think people feel the need to spend more during the summer? Because you do see people going a little bit over the top.
But I guess it's the hormone kind of thing. Everybody is happy. There's outdoors. And what are you going to sit in the outdoors for? Doing nothing? So, and it's the trend. You see in the shops, some nice, colorful little toy, for the kids, and everyone else, kids has got it. Maybe even if in the Poundland you go. But remember, every pound counts, My mom always say, a little hole could sink a ship. So always think about it. And actually, growing up with nothing, there's no such a thing as like, oh, it's summertime, let's go and buy you a new shorts. There's no such a thing when I was little. Yeah, we live like 10 minutes walk to the beach. We go there not even in our swim costume. We can't afford to buy anything. But actually, at the end of the day, it's the fun, it's the memories that we have. Don't need a, fancy swim costume. We all enjoyed catching the jellyfish. Now I realize it's a bit harmful. It's scary.
And when you reverse that a little bit, and if you ask, what would you say the hidden summer costs you don't really expect, or you've experienced in the past where you've had to go and read it in your book that you've realised that we didn't plan for that? What would be the hidden costs that most people miss when they're out and about during a summer's day with the family?
Do you know, did you realise that buying 3 for 2 things, tag 3 for 2, oh, I buy 3, then I save another pack of these. Actually, Emil is always saying, if you don't need another pack of that, just buy 1. Then you don't waste food and you save money. Buy it again next time. But as we say, it's always down to clever planning. We need barbecue. There's only 4 of us. Actually, my kids are quite a healthy boys. They go to the gym regularly. They plan their food. And so actually nowadays, barbecue is easy because they will eat it. There's no leftover. So you can sort of like, how many chicken breasts can you finish? Just marinate all the food that they needed for today. And they're not keen on vegetables, so we save on that one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, some of the things people do miss is things like, with weddings,
Yes.
summer parties, invited
Yes,
around for a
that's
barbecue.
true.
And again, if you plan it properly rather than getting there and realize, oh, we didn't do
Yeah.
this, we didn't do this, you're
Yeah.
out buying your 3 for 2 in your shop. But if you do plan it properly, and say budget for it as well, so to
Yeah.
say, put something aside so you've got those events scheduled in your diary, it just makes it much more achievable then to achieve your end goal by not overspending.
That's true.
Any tips for anybody on that one that you've done before that you'd like to share?
So, say attending parties. Well, Filipinos know how to party, and probably if you say, do they have a list of gifts that they need to have? Normally nowadays, if they say wedding, this is the list that they wish to have. Is it tricky if you choose the smallest amount of the gift? But it is there. It is on the list. So maybe it's a clever way of putting your budget on the right path.
I like
Not
that.
overspending. Because it's on the list. So you're not violating the say, she's so, cheapy kind of guest. No, it's on the list. Choose what you can afford, I would say. It is there that you can, I'll give her this because she'll be so happy. Will your pocket be happy? Who's going to suffer?
I like that. And
Yeah.
also, if we're maybe hosting parties ourselves, maybe that's a good message to people, bring what
Plan.
you can bring. Don't feel the need to be
Yeah.
under pressure to do it. And that
Yeah.
way, it casts a bigger picture for everybody else around that they're not under pressure to bring steaks to a barbecue or something like this, So, would you say that with the warm weather that's here now, do you think that obviously the heat-induced laziness, what can be the effect of that?
Well, what do I say about that? I was born in a very hot country, and there's no such a thing as laziness back home. You'll starve to death. You need to do something. I don't know. I can't relate with the laziness bit. What would you do?
For me, I think just making sure that you're well hydrated. And make sure you don't, because if you're well hydrated, the brain thinks properly and
That's
logically.
true. That's true.
So, if it's warm, sometimes it's easy to take down a sugary drink or a glass of wine or whatever without taking any water, and then your brain starts to function differently. So it's very important that you look after yourself in the warm weather, but also that you're making the right decisions in the warm weather
Yeah.
also. And if you look at it from a cutback perspective, for us, when we go out and about, we're traveling in the car and going to whatever it may be, events, etc. We don't really stop at petrol stations anymore like we used to. So this is a tip for everybody out there that, I used to stop at petrol stations, get a drink, get a sandwich, get this, and before you know it, you spent 30 quid.
Yep.
So for me, we plan properly. So we've got a bag in the back of the car, which is like a cool box. You can either get one that plugs in and put some cool drinks in there, keep yourself hydrated and refreshed. and have some snacks for the kids as well, obviously,
true.
because I'm hungry. And
They
you
need
gotta-
entertainment in the car.
Yeah, I mean, it's too easy nowadays to stop off at a McDonald's and suddenly you spent 35, 40 quid in McDonald's.
Yes.
And the food
I
ain't
agree.
that. Let's face it, the food ain't that great either. So it's not that good for you, but also it's affecting your wallet.
Yep.
So again, little snacks, things like that. That's what I find that can help. Any tips for people traveling, maybe that they can use,
Yeah.
to make sure their budget stays intact?
Yeah, well, create, as you say, my kids love sandwiches because they are always on the go. I have a 25 and a 15-year-old who goes in and out of the house. So one likes tuna sandwich. So make my own tuna instead of buying $3.99 with a little tub in M&S. Buy 4 cans of tuna and make it yourself. And in fact, he doesn't like sweet corn. So he'd take all the sweet corn out anyway. So make him his own. In fact, I taught him how to make it himself. So he's learning. The eldest one, anything chicken. So it's easy. I usually would buy a whole chicken, chop it, debone it, leave it there, ready for him to weigh when he wakes up. He works nights, so he's taking over my shift. Makes his fajita or whatever, wrap. It's all ready for him to wake up, make a food, and that's it. When we travel, we do exactly the same. They have their own little bags or whatever they like. So one side of the car, drinks always in the middle, because including me, I just reach out and get a drink, things like this. We do like the stops though, because we like some hot drink or, just to relax. And of course, looking at the shops.
Yeah, I can't say that's something that I do.
No, Emil is good. It goes like, we're just stopping for the loose, and in you go back in the car.
He knows what you're like.
He is very good in discipline. So I needed that somebody.
So if we have a look at travel hacks, what would you say would be your number one travel hack for people?
Plan ahead. I would say plan ahead. Oh, of course, save first. If you're planning to travel, plan on saving. Say the next summer we're going to, say, Spain. Well, you start saving for it already. But what if you found somewhere going to France is cheaper than going to Spain? If you're just after sunny weather, go somewhere cheaper. If you don't really want to stay in England, say, oh, it's very unpredictable. We want a solid week of go. Holiday shopping as well is available. So find many options. How about the cruises, Alan?
Yeah, cruises are good. We've been on a couple of cruises, haven't we?
Yes.
So for me, I religiously check flights. Now, for anybody that's out there, I would say, most people say you've got London Stansted as the example, right?
Yes.
It's not London. Okay, it's a long way from London, and then you've got to pay to get yourself into London. So sometimes it's best to check. Okay, maybe do I fly to Gatwick? Do I fly out of Gatwick? Because it's a shorter distance to the main city, and we do this all the time. We travel to Europe, because if let's say, for example, you fly into Prague in the Czech Republic, it's 3 hours to my mother-in-law's house. But we know if you fly with Stansted, we can get there in a couple of hours. It's a cheaper flight, number one, and we book flights either first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening. It's normally a half of the price. So that's one of the things for me that we always, keep a close eye on. Can we go early in the morning or can we go late at night? Now the kids are a little bit older. Clara's 7, Fabian's 15. So we can be a little bit more flexible. The kids aren't really small. But we try and avoid flights during the day because number one, they're really busy. And number two, they cost you a lot more money as well. And obviously the one I just mentioned is making sure that the airport location that you're going to is close to where you're actually going to be going around. Whether it's, for instance, we went to Rome, and it was great because everything was in touching distance, wasn't it? And
Lovely.
and it's just when it's well planned, it saves the stress, the hassle, missed flights, delays, spending more time traveling unnecessarily, and obviously there's the added cost in there as well for me, which you got to keep an eye on. So. At the same time, can a cheap holiday be luxurious?
Yeah. I think any holiday can be luxurious, depends how you do it. Yeah. We went to glamping one day. That was in York. That wasn't really very luxurious, but the surrounding was really good. These pods, they're very nice. There is a pond in the middle of it all. and there's a barbecue part in the corner. It's nice. There's a grape vineyard around it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was lovely, but didn't cost us much, and it was local. Well, not local, but it is in England. It's just in York. Drove 4 hours, but it's all good fun. You know, it's the luxury of being away in the town, noise city. But I mean, you know, I live near the Witterings. You can imagine the traffic every day nowadays. So I wanted to be away from that. You can make it as luxurious as you can. Really, it's up to you. You know, the kids, do they really want luxurious things? No, I think that's an adult thing.
I think you're right.
That is an adult thing. Kids are just after memories, fun, traveling, you know, per se. They don't even know whether you're on a first class seat or anything. They just come along. So it is actually down to us.
Yeah.
It's down to us to make it as luxurious as we could. We can make them believe it's luxury.
Well, it's easy to do, right? Because for us, like you say, we've got this understanding that luxurious should be this and flash
Yes.
hotels
Yeah.
and you know first class flights and all of these different things. But for us as a family, it's about creating a luxurious experience.
That's it.
So when we went on a trip recently to Rome, we had already planned in the morning time to you know get us. We booked 2 sidecars, and I had this motorbike with sidecars. So
Yep.
I was on one on the back
Saw
with the
that.
driver, and then the kids were in a little sidecar, you know, flashing around the streets of Rome. And it wasn't overly expensive because it was well planned.
Yes.
But that experience for me is luxurious. You know, we're heading to Abu Dhabi in October.
Nice.
Again, it's a luxurious area, but we're looking at what can we do with the hotels that we're staying in. We've discovered that they've got free passes for Ferrari World, free passes for Waterworld. So you can look at these things and think, wow, it's going to cost a lot of money. But if you're clever with it and do clever things and just research a bit, ask friends and family, look at, you know, Instagram and other sites to try and pick up some tips of what you can do when you're there. That's a big thing that a lot of people miss on. Instagram is fantastic for that. There's lots of travel bloggers and stuff. You can, oh, right, well, we can try that, look at that. And that's how, you know, my wife, she found the sidecar trip. And she's the planner in the household. She organises everything.
She's so good.
So when these trips, I mean, luxurious, I think they can be incredibly luxurious, but they don't have to be expensive.
That's it.
That's the key part
That's
for
the
me.
key part.
So when did saving too much cost you more in the long run?
I was telling George about this. You know, if you say we need to save, we only have £20 each, and we just have to make this really fun. Well, some people could overdo it and say, I'll have £20 worth of drinks, and then stumble over and hit their head on the pavement. I think that's going to be disastrous. You know, accidents. You know, you have to enjoy, but don't over enjoy it to the cost of like you're going to be drunk and you're going to end up with a broken bone or something. You know, easily done, I'd say.
Yeah, I think saving too much. Well, like you say, you can cut a lot of costs for the cost of the experience.
Yes.
You know, you can save money for the cost of the experience. And for me, when it's planned, and you know, you don't have to be as detailed as I am, but if you just make a few notes and discuss it around the table what you're doing, everybody understands what they're doing then, and it doesn't cause a lot of stress in the long run. So if you plan it out, do it together, explain to the family what's happening, and then it's plain sailing from there, in my opinion. And cost-wise, again, it's coming back to the same thing. You know, it's coming back to making sure everything's in order and setting the budget aside for it.
Yeah.
But talking about budgets, some are fun on a budget. Okay, so if I said to you, what was your favourite summer activity that costs nothing? Or what have you done before? Maybe yourself
nothing.
and for the kids.
Yeah. Well, when I was little, everything cost nothing because our parents can't afford it. So we would make use of the close by beach, you know, the empty rice fields. So much fun in there, all throughout in 35 degrees heat. We don't care. We were children, you know. We come home and we get whacked by the broomstick or whatever my mom could hold on to because we were so dirty and sweaty and, you know. But it was all good fun. In here, with my kids, experience-wise, it's completely different. They grew up here. So you have nice parks around us. But then again, summertime, there's these carts of hot dogs and sausages and burgers around. How much is that? £3.50 maybe? And then go to Poundland for a pound drink, but for the kids, they have to buy things to make them happy, don't they? So as parents, we can control how much we spend. It's not down to the kids, They are just after fun, basically, whatever that is. So find a cheap way of doing it. What did I do last summer? Take my son to Rings Beach, and there in the corner, there's this little, I don't know, a canal or something where you can go crabbing. Of course, you take the crab and you put him back. It was so much fun, and that was free.
That's a really good one. I'd highly recommend that to anybody actually down at Eastbourne, down Seven Sisters. That direction is loads of rock pools.
Yeah.
So for really, really inexpensive, you can buy these little crabbing things for like £1.
Yeah.
They're really cheap from the little shops, and obviously that's supporting local businesses, etc.
Yes.
as well. Pop into a shop, buy yourself a little packet of smoked bacon.
Yeah.
And you just tie it on and you drop them in and you're pulling all these crabs out and the kids are having lots of fun, right? So, and that's what it's about. It's about doing things that the kids can enjoy, but also without breaking the bank. And you touched on a couple of things there. You can do things like there's an app called Stargazing 2, which, you can get out there in the evening, lie in the grass and have a tent out there and let the kids watch the stars. And so you can create these things that don't cost a lot of money, but memories.
Yes.
And this is the key thing. We can't just buy everything all the time, in my opinion. You have to create memories, create experiences.
Absolutely.
So the kids don't just enjoy it, but even if it was about the money, you can still do small things. Like you said, you can buy a drink from the shop, etc.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's really, really important to find things not that are just free, but also memorable.
Yeah.
And they create good fun.
I suppose there is nothing really free nowadays, is there? There are cheap things which we can utilize, but yeah, if you wanted it free, I say, we do it the Filipino way. We make our own ice lollies and take it somewhere else, or create our own spring rolls and things like this.
Give me, I know what your answer probably will be to this. Give me a £20 summer challenge that you would do. And, let's say you're going out with Dolly and a few other friends, etc.
Yeah.
What would you? Just a £20 summer challenge, no more than £20.
Well, I would say, number one, create something at home. £20 worth of spring rolls. That's a lot. £20 worth of ice lollies or a lemonade drink, or that's already a party, isn't it? Collect cold Dolly. Bring your £20 worth of something for the barbecue. Evelyn, she'll bring more than 20, that's for sure. She loves cooking, she loves food, and she's amazing. And you can have a party actually with that. I don't know, a drink, maybe we'll have to stick to lemonade for 20 quid.
You can go one evening without, right?
Yes, so, exactly.
I think what I do like to do is like a potluck, and I know that you kind of like this as well, that, I'm going to bring the meat, somebody will bring the dessert, somebody will bring this, and you can still have a fabulous time.
It will be fun.
And a picnic, we did, if you remember a couple of years ago, we did a picnic up in London with everyone from Genistar. Everybody turned up. Everybody, people brought chocolate brownies, people brought, spring rolls, and there was a real fun event actually that everybody came to, and it wasn't expensive at all. It was probably less than 20 quid it cost me anyway. I made a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, we can make it work. We just have this picture in our head that when we say summertime, barbecue time, it's that perfect scenario in your head, isn't it? Which doesn't have to be. It's, if we focus on the food, the friends, family, the fun, instead of more of the food, we'd still enjoy it. More food or less food, who's in there? What are you all doing in there? What we're talking about? How fun is it? There's so many ways of enjoying.
Absolutely,
things.
And I think if we said, look, with the kids in mind now, they don't want to be with the parents all the time. Is there any low cost ideas that you could create for the kids that get to go and have fun, or any ideas where they can save money and get some good bargains, as an example?
Yes. Well, in Chichester, I don't know about you, but there's so many like charity shops around Chichester, and what we have in Chichester actually, there's many good things in that shop. So I would normally get them round what they need, and I would think, oh, this shop sells those kind of things. Get them to see it, explain this is as good as that one in the shop over there. We're going to use it for a few weeks, and then next year you won't need this anymore. So have got this one. I would always suggest to my kids.
Yeah, I think for us, what the beauty of our business is that, with my rewards and benefits I get with Vitality,
Oh,
especially
true.
my older son, they want to go to the cinema, they want to go to the theme park, so
Yeah.
we get free cinema tickets every month.
Yeah.
That's a good way you can use
True.
those. Then they get 30% off at Merlin passes, so they can go to. I think he was going to Thorpe Park. He was at Chessington recently as well. So they don't want to be around the parents at that point. So that's a good way you can
No.
save some money there. And also, with the little one, it's funny. She's just so easily pleased. She's 7, so it's amazing when you ask a child what they want to do, and they come up with these. Well, let's go to the lake and we'll look for frogs. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
That's where you go.
let's go. It's a cost-effective way of doing something. She did that. She went and seen the swans, the cygnets, and all these
Yeah.
types of things. So it's, again, yes, it wasn't planned that way. And she said, "Oh, look, can we get one of the ice creams?" I said, "Look, well, you get two choices. You get really nice ice creams we just bought at home, or we can buy it £3.50, £4 one here. Do you really need an ice cream right now? No, I'll wait till I get home.
Yeah.
Can I have a little bit more when I get home?"
Yes.
So you
Yeah. You can have unlimited.
I'll
at
make you a
home.
double one
Yes.
at home, yeah?
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
they feel it a bit more. But
It is a parent's duty, isn't it? At the end of the day, we cannot just agree with what our kids ask, because to them it's very ideal, isn't it? They see it on the television that when you go to the park or to the beach, you have to run around with this cone in your hand from the ice cream van. It's our duty to tell them that that's not always going to be like that. Or if we save an ice cream cone today, we put that in our holiday pot. We can go somewhere else next time.
that's a good idea.
You're the adult. You can persuade a child anytime.
In case you missed that out there, she said you can give them choices, right? So you're at the ice cream van, say, look, we can save this £3.50 when we're going to Disney.
Yeah.
So you can spend it at Disney, or we just and have the ice cream at home, so
Yeah.
you're getting double barrel, right? So
Yeah.
I like that. That's really
That's
really
a
good.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, at the end of the day, we work to persuade people to look at the good option.
I'll be implementing that for sure. And what's the best frugal story you have, or ever heard of? On saving, etc. for the summer.
Well, I'm not going to run away from my own story.
Okay.
Before Genistar, Alan, we are in the brink of bankruptcy because we bought a house and we thought it's an ideal to buy a house from the town. Then we end up having 2 cars, double of everything. So double expenses. And we have younger kids. And we thought we cannot even take them to Butlins. Butlins is right at the back of our house. And they all see this white dome. And of course that is Butlins. How does it look like? Oh, we go there one day. We just go across the field and play with football or whatever to entertain them. But of course, as a parent, you feel bad because, as I say, the idea of a special treat to Butlins on the summertime, that's every kid's dream, I suppose, at the time. But I couldn't take them, And so in my head, I need to do something to make this work and sort of what do you call this? Redeem myself one day and get them, nice holidays more than a Butlins could do. But it was heartbreaking if you cannot even take your kids somewhere nice because you're so broke. It is very painful as a parent.
But that's changed, right?
It has changed. I've taken them to Spain. I've taken them, well, in fact, the eldest son will be coming with us in the cruise for the first time this October. So
Nice.
he's looking forward to that. But yeah, those are the stories. But you know what? Without those stories, I'm never going to be as grown up as I am now. Finances will never be as good as it is now. Plus, thanks to Genistar, because that's doubled up. It has given me a boost to achieve what I wanted to achieve on my own before. I had the idea, but without the proper education as to how to do things or where to source the money, it was hard work. But yeah, it is now a story. It is a story that I could always, and those days we print out albums for the pictures, and that is all printed. One day they'll say, remember this?
Wow.
You just had a bowl. Where's the ice cream? Not even water. We need to go home.
And would you say there's obviously a mindset shift when you're doing that? Because obviously,
A lot.
I come across a lot of people that I talk to, and they're stuck in that. Oh, it's been that way. It's always been that way, and it's always going to be that way.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that?
Oh, yes. For a while, you get into that wheel of like, I'm never going to get out of this, never going to get out of this. But remember, you are the one that decides for your future. So you have to step up and do something about it. It's you, nobody else, nobody else, And I've always had that in me. It's me. I'm going to change it. I'm going to do something about it. I'm not going to depend on my husband. I'm not going to depend on my brother. You decided you're coming here. You're going to live here on your own. Back up. This. So you have to make it work. I always have done that. And yeah, in the thick of it, no money. I need to find something to make it work. And I'm so glad I found Genistar. Really am.
Yeah, but obviously I've always heard the saying, if there's a will, there's a way.
Oh,
If
yes.
there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely. My mom always say, Alan, you wake up the next day, be thankful you have another chance. Do it again. Do it again. Yeah. So, Alan, what's your idea about, using a card on spending or using cash nowadays? Does cash exist?
Yeah, I still like the feel of cash, I still believe that, especially local businesses, especially tipping, restaurant
True.
staff as well for good service. And, that's just the way I operate. I come from a hospitality background. So if you don't tip, you don't tip. But if you tip, you got to give them cash, because I just believe when you put it on card, it's number one, it's a bad habit, because it's so easy nowadays to just tick, tick,
Yeah.
tick. I call it tick, 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 boom. You realize it's all gone, right?
Gone.
So you got to be, and then we're teaching our kids the same, that, check your budget, check what's on your account balance, make sure you know what you're spending, why you're spending it. And that, if you're going to buy something, just give yourself a little bit of time. Say, okay, let me just step back from the counter a second. Let me just say, right, can I wait for that? Do I need it right now? If I need it right now, then obviously get it, but make sure you just keep an eye on what you're spending. But I think cash still has a place in society, in my opinion. I think it's very important, especially for kids, and understanding money, counting money, feeling money. Nowadays it's so difficult. So unless you sit down with your kids with a pile of coins and show them how it all works, like they do in school, how are they going to learn how money works?
That's true.
How are they going to know what it looks like? It's just this invisible thing that they keep tapping. And I think it's set up. I think, in my opinion, it's been set up like this so they get people into the habit of using cards, tapping, and getting into more debt and more debt and more
Yeah.
debt, because that's how they make profit.
Easily
Let's
done.
face it. That's how they make profit. So I think there's definitely still a place in society for cash, and helping people understand cash and understand money. And maybe, like you said, when you're going out and about, take your £20 budget with you in your pocket.
Yep.
Leave your card at home.
Yep.
So, what about you? What would you say?
I agree. I still have cash in my wallet every now and then. And I always say to the boys, you need to have cash in your wallet for emergency purposes. What if if you're in the train and you cannot tap anything because electronically it's not working? What are you going to do? So emergency cash is always there. And I always tell them, until you finish it all up, do not get any money out. Just stick with the cash and stick with your budget for the day, and that is it. But yeah, I agree with tick, 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 boom. Yeah, I should have realized that sooner, more than I did before. But yes, I like putting in cash. We have like a cash envelope back home, or Emil calls it our petty cash, because it's very useful. kids say, "Oh, I'll go for a haircut." You cannot just, give them your card or I get money from there. And then we know that's £20 less because somebody went for a haircut.
Do you have it locked?
No, no, it's not locked.
There's a
but
trust element there.
yes, yeah, the boys are so good. They would ask. And I think we have installed that in them that, respect, honesty, and, if it's not yours, you're not touching it, So, yeah, cash is still good.
And when you say that when you're planning fun, does that help you towards achieving your financial goals, financial freedom, the long-term vision of where you're going as a family?
Yes, of course. This is the time where the kids appreciate that, if we are very good with everything all throughout the year, then we have a chance to go as a family, but not in a very small budget where we're going for 3 days, guys, and we're only going to eat breakfast and go back to the bed in the evening and drink water all throughout the day, We have seen the benefit of being disciplined. I must say the last 8 years has actually given us the fruit of our labor. So we're good. We're good, and we're enjoying it. Yeah.
That's the most important thing, and I think creating habits, creating excitement around those habits and why you do it. Just the communication, I believe, around it is so important, because then it creates less stress, less arguments, etc. And
Alan, have you heard about the roundups when you use your card? Roundups. So say you pay £15.50 in the shop, and then you will pay exactly the same, but in your card, it would get in the same bank card. Same bank would charge you 16, but the 50p goes over to the savings.
That's good.
And I've done that with a bank. It's not a regular bank in the high street, but they have roundups. So in a month, I could save 30 quid, and then after a month, it moves into the savings pot, so it earns interest there. That's one good thing. You won't feel 50p.
I like that. So you could use that then as a if you bring it back to summer fun. Yeah, you could say, well, look, here's what we do throughout the month, and communicate that to the kids as well, and then it moves across into the day trip fund, the pot. Yeah. And that way there's less stress again when you're going up, because you've got your little fund saved up already without having to dip in anywhere else and take it from your. We're supposed to save £200 towards our mortgage deposit this month, and we haven't done that, and you're taking money out of it to go out, right? So, I love that. And what would you say is one small step that people can take today to help them be a little bit better during this summer weather?
You know what? Definitely, they have to be aware of their spending habits. You need to be very accountable to what you do, how you spend, how you count your money. As Alan was saying, cash is important. You know how to count. You see the coins, and you know exactly how much balance you have. Would you agree? Identify the stress or the triggers of shopping?
Yeah, I think there's a few things you can do. One, I like to, you can look back at previous spends.
Yep.
So look back at last summer. Although, yes, inflation is a little bit different now, you could look back and say, well, okay, this is what we spent last July and August. Was all this necessary? Like you had your little book as a good example. And then change it for the upcoming year if you can do that in springtime. Also, what my wife is very good at, when it comes to winter, or it's coming out of summer into winter, we then buy new summer clothes from that season because they're going out and they're going to be a lot cheaper, and use them then for the following year, especially for kids.
True. Very true.
Especially for kids. So I think that's a really good tip for people that don't wait until summer to buy summer clothes. Yeah. We don't. If we're going snowboarding, we buy the snowboarding stuff in the summer.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper, and it's the same stuff, guys.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff. If you just think logically about it,
yep.
and apply those simple things, you can save yourself a lot of money doing that. And
so what you're saying is they need to track, and adjust.
There you go.
There you go.
I like
That's
that.
it.
I like that. And if we said, look, one tip for people to avoid so they don't fall into the trap of overspending, etc. What have you done, or what advice could you give to someone on here that's listening today of how they can achieve that?
Overspending is to do with the habit, the bad habits that you created for years and years and years. Shoes, guilty. A regular Filipino shoe size is about 5'6". I'm a giant. I'm size 8. That's a man size for the Filipinos. And all my life in the Philippines, I couldn't buy shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, one day I'll get to the land where I could just buy any shoes I like, I'll do it. And I did it. My first 5 years in England, all the sale item, I would buy it. Because I've never had the shoes that I like, the sandals that I want. And it has become a bad habit at the end. When there's sale, I'm there. Oh no, 15 quid. Oh yeah, I'll have that one. Did I ever use the shoes? No. And I can't give it to any of my friends because one shoe would fit 2 of their feet. They're half a size of mine, so nobody would even want it. So even if I send it back home, nobody could wear it. So then here comes the realization that actually you can only wear one pair of shoes at a time. Then I cut back. And it's amazing how much money you can save for not buying another extra pair of shoes. So it's recognizing your needs and your wants. You want it or you need it? That's the big question. You need to think of that all the time. If you have that in your head every single time you go somewhere else, I swear you can save so much money. Yeah.
Yes, and I would say one of the tips for me is to, subscribe, like, and comment to this podcast and find more tips to learn how to do this, right?
Yes.
And we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook,
Please
we're on all
follow.
of these channels. You can follow us and stay plugged in. Learn from other fantastic leaders in our business that are helping families out there.
We have so many leaders.
Yeah. One of the things I will drop with people here at the minute is that, for example, if you've got multiple things like your phone and your broadband, etc. Like, I'll give you an example what we picked up with O2. So we've got O2 as a provider for our phone. We've also got Virgin Media, and I didn't realize this until about 6 months after it started. They're actually they're in business together.
Yeah.
And they've got something called Virgin and O2 Volt. Yeah. So if you've got an O2 contract and Virgin, they give you double the data and minutes and everything else, and double the speed on your broadband. So the clever thing to do is, if you downgrade it,
you still have the same speed.
Downgrade your plan,
yeah.
By half, and they're going to just knock it back up again once you've done that. So you can save yourself 30 quid, 40 quid a month sometimes just by doing that. So that's one of my top tips, which can save you a little bit of money rather than having lots of different contracts.
And of course, don't forget, if they're with us, they would usually have their plans with perks.
Mm-hmm.
Save half on the trainers each year, tracking device, activity, Apple Watches, our free cinemas, free Carluches. We actually have so many free things to save on, Alan.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot, not just from this podcast today, but from all the other podcasts we have, some amazing speakers. If you haven't watched them, go watch them and just go back. I'd encourage everybody today that's listening to this, go back and listen to every single one, because there's different things you'll take from every single podcast.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us today on Financial Freedom for All. Join us next time for more ideas about mastering your money and living your dream.